just like this. Just I can do service, I can do this, but not like this, and not like that. And you will listen what I have to say. There's no, I don't think there's any company or firm or anything on this planet where you can so quickly come in and dictate your conditions. I mean, you worked in the airport, could you just come in there, just after working there for, let's say, 3 months, and you could say, I don't want the toilet standing here, they should be removed, they should be placed there. And I don't think this airport should look like this. I mean, this facade outside is not very nice. I think. But any idiot puts a tilak on and 3 months down the line he will go, it's got it like this, Krishna consciousness is like this, Krishna is like that. Amazing. It's absolutely amazing. No wonder we look like idiots. Because we are full of it. We allow this kind of degradation coming in right and left. People coming and dictating. And it's the amazing thing about Prabhupada. On one side, he attracted so many. On the other side, he didn't compromise. Right away from the beginning. So in a personal dealings, Prabhupada was so charming, so attractive. But these poor hippies, they had no idea what they are dealing with. They came and they, Swamiji is nice, he was nice to me. And, look, he's so nice. And they couldn't listen what he's saying. But Prabhupada made them listen. And the more, the movement was established, the rules came up. They asked him, Prabhupada, in fear, Prabhupada, are there more rules to follow? Prabhupada said, if I would tell you all of them, you will faint. And you will leave me, and I will be again a lonely man walking in New York. Not very flattering statement, that. In other words, he says, you are all conditioned, and you work here on the basis of your conditioning, and then devotional service does exist. Let's see it now more scientifically. There is a devotional service done in ignorance. This doesn't mean devotional service is ignorant. No, devotional service is transcendental. But we are in ignorance. And that's done accidentally. People come in and go, I want to cut some potato. You go, that's very nice. But we had such a gentleman here. As he cuts the potatoes, he starts to preach. Well, that's not possible. Okay? Then no cutting potatoes. He used the potato cutting session to introduce his preaching. No, please keep your preaching. You are Guru, God on your own, that's completely fine, this material world is designed for that, but you will not cut potatoes and preach simultaneously, you will cut the potato. And that's very difficult. So sometimes we appease ourselves, well, we have to be tolerant, he's talking so much nonsense, but at least the potatoes get cut. That game never works out, because he will not stop with cutting potatoes. He will instruct you how to manage the potatoes, and he will instruct you. And he will bring in, he will start to dictate these Hiranyakashipu conditions. All the time, just like that, he will start with that. And then it has to come to a level of conflict. And that happened to Prabhupada too. That actually even amongst disciples, some of them came to a level of purification where they just couldn't handle it anymore. You mean I really have to surrender more? You mean I really have to just work upon the instruction? Not my concept, not my feeling, not what I think, not what I, no, I have to surrender just like that. No, forget it. So they walked out of the door. It was very little of philosophical discrepancies, because most of the devotees couldn't even much understand what Prabhupada is talking about. But it was usually just purely emotional. Shudra is a problem, because he always demands this emotional appeasing, And Prabhupada did that also. He said, yeah, you are so nice, And then the guy was gone. It's maybe a very controversial thing to say, but Prabhupada gave even sannyas for that purpose. I want to group! I have enough of this! What about being a sannyasi? No, that's a nice idea. He just prolonged that service of that devotee at least for 1, 2, 3 years more. He blooped anyway. I mean, that only Prabhupada, I believe, could do. He took that risk. And then it started. the Maharaj was doing things which I don't want to go now into detail here, what Maharaj did. Hilarious. Devotees were reporting to Prabhupada, oh, he did this, and whoa, you know what he did? Prabhupada said, that's not very good, what he's doing, but he surrenders everything to me. And then there was an argument nobody could defeat because it was true. Devotees backed away. And Prabhupada personally took the burden and the responsibility to deal with this constantly deviating individual. And he took sometimes the results were not very, pleasing. There was scandals, there was newspaper articles, there was simply bad image came out of this. Prabhupada took still certain level, but he simultaneously preached what the standard is. It's not like he said, okay, from now on we are going to go like this. No. He constantly maintained the standard, but his tolerance towards the deviations, of course, was immense. But you may call it subjective, really, but I don't think we have the luxury to copy this. We cannot imitate that, and if somebody wants to imitate that, then he should bring the book distribution to the level it was. Then it should bring the temples to the standards they were operating with. Then you can say, okay. But in our own little mediocre way, to copy this and not copy the other thing, that proves to be kind of luxury I don't think we can afford. So it's always a struggle to find this Hiranyakashipu attitude. Yes, I surrender, you are my worshipable object, but you give this, you arrange that, you this. So this is a challenge, and it's like ongoing, it will never stop, because that's the world we are living in. The world of that word conditioned soul comes from conditions. The more conditions we place forward, the more conditioned we are. And it's real, actually, not to put any conditions. Just go with the flow, just go whatever is needed to be done, be there and do it. And you find suddenly, hey, this is a nice lifestyle. This is very nice. To do the needful. And you find yourself in it. Because Prabhupada said, not everybody will work the same way, of course not. Like they asked Prabhupada, how to actually create a yatra. ISKCON yatra. In a country, you come in a country, there's no devotee. You start to preach, people start kind of to join. Well, how do you? The Kshatriya person, he will try to put a concept. You fit here, you stand here, you do like that, and you shut up. That's the Kshatriya management. The Vaishya will go, well, we need money. That's the first thing, because everything works on money. So, not so good, not so good. He has 2 girlfriends and 2 boyfriends, but he has money. Oh, hey Vaishnava Thakur, where is your credit card? Let's go for the credit card. That's the Vaishya thing. And the Shudra goes, we have to love each other, we have to feel good, you feel good, I feel good. We have to let's eat, sleep, and be happy. That's the Shudra thing, that's his concept of happiness. But the Brahmana, he will act through knowledge. And he will know, and in full faith, that Krishna will supply the needful. Not only in terms of finances, but also in terms of manpower. So he will be pragmatically, simply doing things along the people they come. That's what Prabhupada did. He met the first boy he met on the street. He said, what are you doing? Well, I'm writer, I'm editing. Prabhupada said, very good. Immediately he made him to an editor. And then another one he met, and he was going, Prabhupada didn't need to psychoanalyze people. He had such a genius vision that he instantly, by the first contact, could screen out and completely understand your heart, your subtle body, and your gross body. Instantly, like this. It was shocking. When you met Prabhupada, you were like 100% X-ray, And he didn't abuse you like this. He just was going, very nice, how are you? And you knew, this person is knowing the whole thing. He knows even things I don't know. He was completely, people panic sometimes, What? There's no place to hide, there's no place to pretend. Prabhupada is here. And even you try to cheat Prabhupada like Hiranyakashipu's mentality. He allowed himself to cheat, but you knew that he knows that you cheat him. Very unpleasant feeling for a cheater. To cheat somebody who consciously goes, yes, okay, and allows himself to be cheated like this, just for a higher purpose. So that's what happened to, and that's what happens to every preacher. Preacher always be tempted and manipulated and twisted, and always somebody tries to do something with you. And then it's up to the preacher how far, you are expert, and how far you can actually, despite all this trickery, engage the people in spiritual, in a mission. And then, because that's the whole goal, engage them in a mission of the spiritual master. How do you do that? All this trickery and all this bending this and bending that. So this is what actually, the mission of a spiritual master is, and it's dangerous. Therefore it's highly advising Kali Yuga not to accept too many disciples, because there will be too many corrupted dealings. There's so much material desires, there's so much corrupted things, that they will try to twist the spiritual master, bend him around all the time. They do that. Every guru can confront them. They will all just, we worship you, but, and they will all try to, bend you for their purposes around. So how much of this you can take and how much of this you can purify, well, it's very individual challenge. But it's recommending Kali Yuga not to have too many disciples, because the pressure from the disciple is so immense, because we are such an uncultured and unqualified people. In the Vedic culture, there was a whole culture already facilitating that relationship. You can still see some traces of that in the Indian community. They immediately assume a humble attitude. Of course, there's plenty of Hiranyakashipu motivations too. But at least the basis you can start with, I was just laughing yesterday. There's a picture on the internet with Amita Krishna Prabhu preaching to 1,500 people or something like this right now in India. I don't know, some kind of meeting. Well, how do you get 1,500 people listening to you in Denmark? Here we are scraping the loonies from the bottom of the pot, maybe, I don't know. I will come, and actually I will not come. But that's the place we are in. There's nothing to complain about. That's our service here. It's like police is not complaining, oh, so many criminals. Yeah, well, it's police, you have the job. That's all. That's the job you have, to deal with it. So it's like, that's actually, and the beauty of the whole thing is that whenever things get specially degraded, the mercy of Lord Chaitanya is multiplying. That's the rule. I got a mantra on my way by managing in Stockholm, where I dwelled for 15 years, and 3 years in Göteborg altogether like that. I get a mantra from our GBC, on the way. He said, whoever is managing here in Scandinavia will get 1,000,000 times more blessing as anywhere else. Because it's a place where people just sit and comment. Of course nowadays Scandinavia is everywhere, but just okay, then please, hey. Manager is like a guy running in a football stadium, kicking the ball. The football stadium is sold out. But on the grass you find only 3 people kicking. And when he kicks the ball, they go, can you please come down and play some football too? I'm just commenting. This is highly discouraging. This is, but it's like, where did Prabhupada see his support? Where did he got his encouragement? I remember our prayer GBC once, he was so desperate for Prabhupada. When he came to Germany, he was so mistreated when he came. I remember that later on I recollected that how mistreated he was when he came to Germany. Because Germany was run by a personal cult. And in the personal cult atmosphere, there is no space for anybody else. when somebody carries the personal cult with him, surrounded by 100 people, or let's say 4,000 people, there is no space for anybody else. You cannot breathe even. Because they are all like, and you cannot. That was the atmosphere. So he was just, and he got an instruction to go to the east to preach. So they knew that, Prabhupada wanted him to go to the east preaching. What is this? So they gave him the most broken car. You can go with that wreck, preach in Moscow or Warsaw or whatever. So he was with his drilling machine, he was building it a little bit, so fixing it, so he can actually have some boga in it, and he was putting some boxes and this and that. Nobody cared. So then he became the leader. But still, it was extremely difficult circumstances. You cannot imagine, if I will go detail, what the debt devotee had to face. Nobody today can imagine this. Starting with the fact that you are dealing with a situation where Prabhupada left. And all the despair of Prabhupada departure was projected into the new gurus. It was even openly preached. Prabhupada divided himself into 11 or something like that. Now, just imagine somebody tells you like this. There's only 11 fragments of Prabhupada and you are one of them. And everywhere. Just imagine every morning you have thousands of people telling you this, bringing millions of dollars of money. You have a huge temples running. You have a huge preaching operations to protect and maintain. And actually there's not too clear concept how things should go on. The very same devotee might go there and say, hey, please, let's not copy Prabhupada. I saw him running down the stairs going, I am not Prabhupada, you are all nuts! That was after the first massive Guru Puja which was performed. He cried. He broke up in the middle of the Guru Puja and ran out in tears. He said, you are all nuts! I remember him exactly doing this gesture and said, why this huge exercise? Let's start like this. And let's preach and prove ourselves. No. The mood was established. How could we diminish the standards like this? There was not so much worry about diminishing the spiritual standards, but the hate of the Vesasans was very good. This was done by 2-3 devotees. The rest was like, why should we discuss how high the Vesasans should be? I remember the joke was even made, it should be hydraulic. If somebody feels he's too low, then he can come up, and if he's if he feels too puffed up, then he can go down in it. It's kind of jokes were going around at that time. It was so much, and this despair, Prabhupada is not here. Okay, you are my Prabhupada. Can you imagine somebody tells you this? What a weight this devotees had to carry, And they were young boys still, quite young boys. Quite young. So nobody can today imagine such a thing. What a time. What a time to be. Because every little move could be a big mistake. That's the problem when you carry such a responsibility. When you don't have really much to mess up, you can move rather freely, Okay, whoa, that broke, wow. But when you are working in a porcelain shop, which is packed with dishes, you have to work very careful. One move, the whole shelf will come down. So this was the atmosphere these devotees had to sustain and live with. No wonder they paid their price sometimes. It's such a pressure. So you have to see a little bit more. So this fight against Hiranyakashipu mentality is all the time going on. And it will never stop, because this is the material world. Always opposing corruption, always opposing perverted ideas. Always this. But Prabhupada was very vigilant on that. Mono. At the end, you read the purpose in the 10th canto too. He even compares the warrior of Mother Yashoda for Krishna all the time. He said, it's a transcendental warrior. It's a transcendental anxiety. But this warrior, this anxiety, is that he compares it with his warrior anxiety about the future of wisdom. This is like, he said, this is a transcendental intellect. So sometimes when you see somebody running around a little bit agitated, that's not a problem. The problem is what he's agitated about. That about his position, his name, fame or glory, or about the mission of the spiritual master. There is an agitation on that platform, plenty of agitation, but it's a transcendental one. It's a feeling of carrying a heavy burden of responsibility. And that's finally tying us up more to Krishna, because most of the time we have ultimately no other resort as to fall at Krishna's lotus feet and pray, so we don't harm or damage the mission of our spiritual master. Some comments?
Yeah. The thing about the period just after Prabhupada's disappearance, Prabhupada's present point of view has been covered by so many books and so on.
Huh?
The time of Prabhupada has been, written so many books and so much has been said about that. But actually, it would be interesting if someone started writing that also historically what happened just after Prabhupada's periods,
These things are there. There are already things that we've been down there.
Yeah.
But they're not very popular to publish that. They are suppressed, manipulated, and edited.
Because
there's so much to learn.
Yeah.
It's a great history of learning we have in ISKCON.
That's the point. And also.
But you have to approach it Brahminically. If there is no Brahminical approach, then you know how much opposition was to that just publishing Prabhupada letters? It was a big uproar. Should be never published. And certainly the argument was given that this is a private correspondence. Why? Fortunately, there's even a Prabhupada letter about that. Yeah. He said it's no problem, but not so important right now. We do it later. And then he wrote a letter about this. So he was not worried that his words, and certainly the letters contain statements regarding his God brothers, which are not exactly flattering. And I think sometimes they took out of the letters the names, which is, I think, correct. Why to, even the first edition of the Lametta contained a description of Hansa Tutta is snoring, and in the next edition it wasn't there anymore. Because it's a fact. I mean, what does it have to glorifying Prabhupada to describe that Hansa Tutta was snoring? It's not needed. Okay? When you go into that, well, everybody has some wonderful leelas in their backyard, We all have our not so funny sides, not so representative sides, let's say. It's so comfortable to sit here like this because you think, I could be now the better one. the worst one, we keep in a cupboard, it's our problem. That's the worst one. So it needs a Brahminical approach. And there is, I get some feeling when our GBC was visiting here, how he's constantly just, raging over the quotes from Prabhupada, which was a very pleasant experience, I have to say. Because you all constantly seek references from the past, how Prabhupada responded to this situation and what, because as Javeda Maharaj so nicely said, there is no new problem. The problems are the same. So, I refuse to enter a discussion on new problems. Year 2015, we have a new problems. It's the same problems, the same Maya, right? And all these problems were already happening during Prabhupada's presence. So let's study what Prabhupada commented on these problems in his presence. Because Prabhupada commented on this, Like example, devotees are so depressed and so unenthusiastic in the temple. And we cannot, they are strict Kadana followers. They are every day, Hare Krishna, German. Anyway, but still they are so depressed and they are not really tasting. Prabhupada had a simple comment on this. He said, they are not following the four regulative principles. And that's it. That's a proof. There's no preaching enthusiasm. Because it cuts the whole thing. So, all this what we are suffering and struggling with was already here. and much worse sometimes. So Prabhupada did his comment. So let's go to that. Let's find out what happened.
Also like the period just after is also seems to me quite misunderstood. At least the time when I came, was 5 years after like that. And now when he is sometimes described as someone who was never there, it's it's quite the time is quite misunderstood. It's often, they often say like very black or white or something like that.
Yeah, fortunately there are still survivors, I'm one of them. And you never see me going like this. Yeah. The Dharmacharya. Well, let's examine what came after. Is this the alternative to Dharmacharya? Sorry. Not very enthusing experience. Or that humanism, socialism, psychoanalysis, Freudism, that's replacing the autocratic management of the Acharya. Well, let's examine the result. What is the result? Krishna consciousness now spread everywhere. So much that we don't even see it anymore. It kind of evaporated, but it's everywhere. There are so many unmanifested Vaishnavas. In every garbage can there is one. I could become, I have my nature, so I become very eloquently fascistic when I would describe the decline of preaching after the departure of the Acharyas. Hey, you don't want to, and nobody wants to listen to this. Nobody. I have a whole conference full of it. There are those who go, great, finally, it's nice reading. And there are those who go, let's not talk about it. Because we would have to face our own stupidity. We would have to stand in front of a mirror and say, okay, this is the idiot. And we would have to desperately pray and fall in Prabhupada's lotus feet instead of having this boasting, self-aggrandizing sessions, big time. We call it the Nixon syndrome. The man was completely compromised, exposed, and the last gesture he made before they kicked him out was, it's Americans, Everything is messed up and that's so pathetic. People are not that stupid. They know and they ask questions. Like, what happened? I don't see anybody nowadays taking that kind of challenge and responsibility what these 11 devotees did. Oh, they assumed the power. Are you joking? One of them I knew, he was preaching in South America. They had to look for him. He was on the list, they couldn't find him. He was hiding. He said, this is nuts. They said, look, this is your name, it's on the list. You're crazy. Me? This idea to be treated like Prabhupada after Prabhupada was shocking. And there were those who took certain comfort in it. Of course, they were falling down first. Very good. That was the first one we were going. French. Oh, Ludwig the 14th. There's a big castle, and every big castle there's a big guru. Let's get a castle. Everybody must have a castle. Oh, I have a book about that. Well, please, in Denmark, let's not get a castle. Fortunately, they don't have castles here, you know that. What they call castle is considered in Czech Republic a place you put cows in. Oh, let's say the one next to Hilleret. What is this?
Yeah.
That looks a little bit like a castle. Every village in Czech Republic has such a thing. In Denmark. A reality. Well, come on.